Section is all review. We're still not doing anything new yet, really. Coordinates. Ever remember how to graph?
Yes.
You have two axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. X goes side to side, y goes up and down. All they are is number lines. Zeros in the middle, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Negatives go left. This one, the positives go up. Negatives go down. Now, this is just for trivia. You don't need to know it from math, I don't think. The x-axis, the actual name is called the abscissa. And the y-axis is actually called the ordinate.
Are we supposed to remember those words?
No. Just for trivia. Maybe in college you need to know that, I don't remember. But in high school you don't need to know that. You just need to know which one's the x-axis, which is the y-axis. So then remember, a coordinate system splits it up into 4 quadrants. Does everyone remember where quadrant 1 is?
That one.
Which one?
The top left. Right.
Top right.
That's I can't.
Quadrant 1, and then it goes counterclockwise. Oops. 2, 3. Do you remember how to make 4 with the Roman numeral?
Isn't it 1V?
IV. The one in front, the V stands for 5, and if you put something in front of it, that means 1 less than 5.
Yeah.
So like if you saw this, X is 10, so what's IX? 9. Okay, an ordered pair is the exact same thing as a coordinate. They mean the same thing. Sometimes they call them coordinates, sometimes they call them ordered pairs. The reason why they call them ordered pairs is because they're in alphabetical order. The first one is an X, the second one is a Y. So when you graph these, you start at the center and you do whatever it is on the x-axis. So you always go side to side first and then up and down. Now in algebra, slope is rise over run. So that's a little bit confusing. Algebra is the only thing that really uses rise over run. In the real world, vectors, which is like a slope, go side to side, up and down. So you need to remember that. You go side to side and then up and down when you're plotting a point. When we get to slopes, then we'll talk about that more. So you start in the center. It's a positive 3, so you go right 3. And then it's a negative 2, so you go down 2. So there's the point, 3, negative 2. Now a lot of times they'll have a letter in front of it. So all you got to do is put the point and then label it point A. Okay? Now one thing I've seen that some people do is they'll go right 3 and then down 2 from there. Remember, it's just, this is a direction. It tells you how to get somewhere. Over 3, down 2. Okay? So if you had point B is 0, 3, that means you go 0 over, up 3. If you had a point that was 2, negative 2, 0, that means I go left 2 and then I don't do anything. You guys remember all these, right? Yeah. Okay. Now if they ask for a location of a point, you would say A is in quadrant 4. What's the location of B?
Quadrant 1.
No. The y-axis.
Oh.
The location of C is the x-axis. Scatter plot.
Oh, I love those.
For now, we're just going to graph scatter plots. Eventually, we're going to use scatter plots to predict things when we use y equals mx plus b. If you remember a little bit of that from last year in 8th grade. So a scatter plot, they don't all go in a row. That's why they're scattered. So sometimes the dots go up, sometimes they go down like that. sometimes it's just random. Okay? So, if they ask you what a scatter plot tells you, this, you can't tell if it's going up or down, so this has no correlation. Okay? An example of something that's probably no correlation is shoe size and test scores. How big your feet are is probably not going to affect how good you do on your test, right? So you would expect that to just be scattered all over. If it's going up, remember what kind of correlation that is?
Time and money.
Yeah, but what's it called? What kind of correlation?
Rising.
Positive. So a positive correlation is as one thing goes up, the other thing goes up. So like distance and time, although usually they put time on the bottom. If there's a time, you usually put it on the bottom, although in a scatter plot it doesn't matter where you put them. So the further you go, the longer it takes you, right? Okay. Then if it goes down, remember what's that called? Negative correlation. So that means as one thing goes down, the other one goes up. So an example of this would be like the gas in a vehicle and the distance that you travel. If you start off with a full tank, the further you go, the less gas you have, right? Gas is going down, the distance is increasing. So that's what you need to, when they ask you to interpret a scatter plot, it's either going to be no correlation, or both of them are going up, or one's going up and the other one's going down. Okay? So plotting points. Part of your assignment today is you're just going to have to plot the points. They already did these for you. But A is left 2, up 3. B is over 3, down 4. C is 0, negative 2. Yeah. Yes. You can do all the assignment, even though some of it you don't need to graph. You can put them all on graph paper. Okay. So making a scatter plot. Here we've got NCAA basketball teams. The number of teams is shown. In 95, there was this many, 96, 97, and so on. So to make a scatter plot, they did it already. Again, you need to have a title. You need to label this side, and you need to label this side. Okay? Now, a lot of times, you don't have to do it this way. You could just put the first year, 1995, and then 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, okay? But a lot of times they do this, the number of years since the first one. It means the same thing. Ever understand that? So this is 1 year since 95, which means this is 96. Then remember what this thing is right there?
It skips that one.
Yeah, it's a break. It's called a break. So they're skipping from 0 to 800, and then they're going by 25s. So you can pick whichever interval you want. So then you just got to estimate. The first one is 868, so they just estimated it's right about there. So they put each point, this one's 866, so it's just a little lower. 865, no, 895, and so on. So, if they interpreted it, it looks like it stays the same and then goes up, right? That's all you got to say. Stays the same for 1, 2, 3 years. Stays about the same, you should say. And then it rises the next few years. That's all you got to put when they ask you to interpret it. Now, if they did ask if there was a correlation here, it does look like it's going up like that, right? So you would say it's a positive correlation. So that's all we're doing today is we're making a couple scatter plots and we are plotting some points.
Easy.